Hit it. Today I'm going to make a nice summery potato salad with lots of fresh herbs, lemon, and some green beans for crunch. We're going to start with the oven preheated at 400. I'm going to start cutting some potatoes in half, laying them on a baking sheet, and I'm going to oil them and sprinkle them with salt. Once they've come out of the oven after about 25 minutes, we're just going to let them cool slightly, and then we're going to dress them with the vinaigrette. What's going to happen is, because they're still hot, they're just going to drink up all that yummy salad sauce, and you're going to dazzle your friends. So I've started with Yukon Gold potatoes, but it could be Idaho or russet potatoes. The thing is, with a starchy potato, if you're not going to eat it that day, it's going to get kind of mealy. So I recommend a waxy potato, like a red potato or a Yukon Gold, or I'm sure there's another name of a potato, but we only really get those ones here. We're just going to fill the baking sheet up with potatoes, and then what we're going to do is oil them. It depends on how many people you're planning on filling with potato salad. I know we can never get enough potato salad in my house. It's one of those things. Almost done. Just a light coating of oil. I've got sunflower oil. It could be olive oil. It could be any oil you want. And that's just going to help them stick salt to themselves, like as if they were automatically salting potatoes. No. It's going to help the heat be conducted. It's going to help them be more unctuous. And that's that. Into the oven they go. So remember, the oven's at 400 degrees, and we're going to bake them for about 25 minutes. So we're going to make our vinaigrette. I'm using green onions. It could be shallots, it could be dried onions, it could be red onions, it could be yellow onions, whatever you want. Just something to give a little bite. I'm going to use about 5, let's say, for 5 pounds of potatoes. A green onion a pound. It's like there's something there. I don't know what it is, but we'll figure it out. So I'm just going to slice them. You could chop them. Again, how much do you like onions? How much do you hate onions? You could even try garlic. You could not put onions. You could just go herbs. So once they're sliced, I'm going to sprinkle them with salt. That's going to start to help cook them, such as it were. Bring out their flavor, mellow them a little bit. In they go. Just a little sprinkle of salt. The next thing I'm going to do is grind up some fennel seeds in my handy surabashi. It's a Japanese mortar and pestle made for grinding sesame seeds. It's got like a little raked interior that's good for seeds and little fine nuts. Woo! They also kind of fly out a little bit. It's like making popcorn. There we go. Not too much. Just call it a good couple tablespoons anyways. Next, zest. 2 lemons. And then I'm going to use the juice of probably about 4. And again, we're going to put the lemon juice on all these ingredients, and that's going to start help marrying all the flavors together. Lemon zest. These are organic lemons. Those are the ideal. Otherwise, you can give your standard lemons a good washing in some kind of fruit and veggie wash that you can find in most grocery stores or health food stores. There we go. Handy microplane. Thank you for your job well done. Lemons. We had a half there, so let's go with 3.5 lemons. Let's see what that does for us. And of course, at the end of the thing, once we pour the vinaigrette on the potatoes, if we find that it's missing any, we just add a little lemon juice. If we run out of lemons, we could add a little vinegar. Ideally, you want a nice balanced acid to oil ratio and mouthfeel. Lemon juice. And she goes. Just give her a little Stir up. And we're gonna move on to chopping our herbs. I've got parsley and dill, any fresh herb, I mean, provided it's a fresh herb, not a really resiny one, not rosemary, not thyme, or if those you're gonna use, you need to use them in small doses. So dill, parsley, mint, chervil, tarragon, these are all ones that you can use in great big handfuls because they're gonna make a fun flavor and not be too intense, too perfumey. This is not something we want. I like chunks of things, so I'm gonna cut them, but I'm not gonna cut them too fine. I'm gonna cut them grossièrement, as we say in French. I include the stalks too, if they're tender, you know, it's all good. So putting the herbs just in the vinaigrette there. You can see it's not going to be a very wet vinaigrette, right? Because there's so much matter in there. It's like a big chunky mess, but it's going to work perfectly with the potatoes. Well, that's done. I'm going to wash my hands. I prepared my green beans in advance. I just took off their tails, and now I'm going to chop them and boil them in salted water and drain them. So I got my green beans. I'm going to chop them into bite-sized pieces, and then I'm going to blanch them in boiling salted water. Just like that. You can cut them on the bias. If you're lazy, you could just cut them in half. If you're really lazy, you can leave them whole. I don't think anyone's going to fault you. People usually don't fault you when you're cooking for them. Well, about that size. I mean, they don't need to be equal. And I have about, we use about a pound of green beans for 5 pounds of potatoes. Hi, little taters. So, in the end, the potatoes, you want to check them after 25 minutes. I said 25 minutes, but it could be like 40 minutes, depending on the size of your potato. These ones are medium size-ish, and the way you know is just by touching them with your finger. They should just give a little bit, you know, like you can feel that they're cooked. Or you could also poke them with a knife, and if the knife goes cleanly in, you know they're done. So we're just gonna let them cool down for about 5 minutes before I start cutting into them, because otherwise I'm gonna burn my hands. If you're a little impatient like I am sometimes and you just want to get straight to the cutting of the potatoes, use a pair of tongs and hold them like that. You won't burn your hands and you'll get the job done quickly. I'm going to add my already blanched green beans. Make sure you get every last one. You worked hard to chop them. Now I'm going to add the dressing. We don't like wasting, so we're using a spatula to get every last little bit of that vinaigrette into the bowl. And then we mix. So there it is. It's nice and colorful. You can see that the potatoes are starting to fall apart a little bit, which is nice. It'll make a more unified thing in your mouth. You could add marinated peppers or cherry tomatoes if you wanted for color. I'm happy with it just like it is. We've gotten to the most important part, the taste test. So we just we want to make sure that all our seasoning is done to an acceptable level for our palates. So it's kind of a big mouthful. You want to make sure you get a bit of everything. Nice bit of parsley in that bite. I think it needs just a tiny bit of salt. It seems like a lot but it's a lot of potatoes. Just a tiny bit of oil. And why not just a little more spicy. Make sure you wash your hands after you touch those. We're going to mix it up again and then put it through the mill one more time. Make sure she tastes good. Oh, now I can smell the chilies. That's nice. There we go. Potato salad perfection.